Vulcan Centaur rocket is about to make its grand debut. And guys, this look at it. It's not just any rocket. This is a new powerhouse for the U.S. Space Force's first mission with it. It's the Vulcan Centaur's maiden voyage, its first big test. Think of it as the rocket equivalent of a Broadway opening, right? But space. But the mission is national security. This isn't just about cool science. It's about keeping the U.S. ahead in the space race where the stakes are sky high. Brian, are you proud of me?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thanks. It's made by United Launch Alliance, ULA. As we all know, a key player in the rocket business. They've spent years crafting this beast, and now it's time to prove they can hang with giants like SpaceX. The rocket's got some serious muscle. It's designed to carry heavy payloads, massive satellites, top secret gear straight into orbit. And then the tech, this thing is cutting edge, high performance engines, next gen design. I mean, take a rocket nerd. This is his dream coming true.
The number one challenge on this one is speed. It's time to launch for me. This isn't SpaceX. Don't forget, SpaceX are popping up these things hundreds a year. They're kind of pumping out these rockets like iPhones. Good old SpaceX. This Vulcan Centaur delays are what could put national security at risk. They've got to get it on time. A rocket that's late is a rocket that's frankly useless. So without slashing time to launch, Space Force could be stuck watching a kind of a Netflix instead of dominating the orbit. So they're going to have to get this right.
It is funny that you mentioned Netflix there, because I cannot hear the name Space Force without thinking of the show Space Force with Steve Carell, basically The Office, but for government Space Force, right? Like it is hard to separate the joke of that with the reality that this thing actually exists, but it does, and it's a real thing. And in this case, I mean, the Vulcan Centaur, it's about to fly, and I know you said speed, Andrew, but I think the key here is actually going to be in transitioning the operations from one spacecraft that they've typically been using to another, which is the Vulcan, and making sure that the Vulcan's performance and versatility are evolving to meet these demands, which can definitely be ever changing. Like what's being sent up to space is changing quickly, right? So this has to be something that's versatile.
Yeah, or even versatility. I think this it's not an Amazon delivery drone we're tweaking here mid-flight. If Vulcan doesn't launch on time, then no one's going to care how versatile it is. Space Force is going to be kind of calling SpaceX faster than you can say BFR.
You know, I think in order, we know what your BFR stands for. Okay. I think in order to figure out how do you make this meet the right needs, and in order to figure out what you're talking about of how do we make this happen on time, which is one of the needs or one of the, shall we say, requirements, you've got to know how these requirements fit into your whole process, how they affect your design changes, how you decide which ones are worth the amount of effort that they take to make happen, the priorities, and how they're managed. That's what I think.
Oh, it's my turn then. Reducing time to launch without sacrificing your quality or your flexibility, that's fundamental here. You're right, requirements first. So locking in those mission critical requirements early to avoid any scope creep, that's number one. Number two, you're going to go straight into design validation. So you're going to use product validation, simulation. You're going to iterate these rocket designs into weeks, not months. And then I think third, penultimately, it's going to be implementing lean manufacturing principles across their assembly lines. Again, keeping that speed, time to launch going. And then I'm going to bring AI in. So, because AI, I think, is fundamental here for simulation. That generative AI model. So you're going to simulate millions of launch scenarios. You're going to need AI to do that kind of variability, optimizing your designs and reducing your testing cycles by potentially 30% using AI. That's what I do. Requirements, product validation, simulation, lean manufacturing, bring your AI in on simulation. Boom.
You know, you're on track. Something as expensive as a BFR it's going to be something that if stuff goes wrong, it can be costly. So that I think that's where your simulation really is important in this sort of thing as well. Yeah, you got a good point there.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think we can add BFR to our acronym dictionary at work here at XDI? I think we should.
I think it already is.
Yeah, it probably already is.
See you next week.